is Ukraine continuing to erode Russian forces, not just in Bakhmut, but all the way into the Black Sea? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It's September 14th, 2023. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get into it. Okay, first, taking a look at the combat map, there's been two changes that are noteworthy. The first is, of course, outside of the Bakhmut region, south of Klitschivka. You can see this Russian salient here in Andriivka, which has been subject to Ukrainian forces attacking them from the north, the west, and the south. That Russia has finally withdrawn its troops to behind this sort of semi-naturally occurring defensive line. This, of course, just makes a lot of sense. You can see that these new troop positions, right, only have Ukrainian forces in front of them. Plus, it allows them to integrate more seamlessly with this defensive line that the remainder of the Russian forces in this kind of sub-region have used or withdrawn to. And you can see just how this is a natural position to establish a defense because of this dual windbreak system. Entrenched forces in one of these windbreaks, even if Ukrainians advance and push them out, Russian forces in this second windbreak can advance across this kind of no man's land and retake those trenches counterattacking. So it's a very tough line to crack. It's going to be a real challenge for Ukrainian troops. But seeing Russian forces withdraw from Andriivka, while not necessarily a operationally significant town, right? You can see it's literally a 2-road town. It is significant in that it was clearly being used as a strong point by the 72nd and 11th brigades who were trying to defend it. So again, Russian forces being pushed back, probably a good thing. The other major changes outside the town of Vesely, you can see that this area here, Russian forces are advancing, seizing a number of this cluster of windbreaks here. Again, in terms of territorial significance, there's not a ton. And it looks like this is defended by just a motorized rifle battalion, just a single battalion. So this is low levels of troop concentration. And so these sort of events can sometimes be just like repositioning or a single company having an exceptionally good day. But Russia's still contesting over some of these windbreak regions. And so it's tough to say that this portends anything larger. But it will put pressure on the Ukrainian forces defending this town of Vesely. Looking over at the combat map, what's interesting is 4 hours ago, Ukrainian armed forces reporting additional success in and around Bakhmut, Klitschivka, Andriivka, and Kurdyumivka, which is interesting to me because, again, so far in this fighting here, we've seen incremental piecemeal advances, sort of taking advantage of one place or another where Russian forces are operating. And to see all four experience success indicates to me that perhaps Ukraine is pivoting its focus, looking more at Bakhmut, which, if you guys remember at the start of the counteroffensive, or in the preparatory phase of counteroffensive, Russia stopped basically all combat operations in Zaporizhzhia and focused entirely on digging in, building these extensive minefield networks, multiple layers of entrenched positions. Meanwhile, at the same time, Russian forces were actually pushing in Bakhmut, right? They were advancing. They weren't building positions. They weren't laying mines. They were going on offense. And what's crucial about that is, as I said, Zaporizhzhia is the book answer, and Russia knows that this is the book answer. And that if Ukraine had attacked in Bakhmut on day one, right, yes, they would have confronted the best Russian troops on the battlefield, the VDV and the Wagner group. But if they had eliminated them, they would have easy pickings, right? It would be smooth sailing because there just aren't that many minefields that have been laid around here. Seeing Ukraine pivot to Bakhmut, I think may actually produce some returns, given just, one, the fact that right now you can see there's just an extensive deployment of Russian troops all in this region. I mean, you can see, and we'll take a look in a minute to see even in greater detail the density of these unit deployments. And that's not to say that there aren't also units here, but as you can see, they're just not as dense, right? Some of these are Rosguardia units, and while some are brigade-sized elements, some of them are as small as battalions, as we just saw, right? Up here, we've got just unspecified Storm Z, a rifle brigade, and just a battalion holding some of these areas near Vesely. So I actually think that this, the Bakhmut region, and for a long time, the Bakhmut region was where most Ukrainian gains took place in this counteroffensive. I think the switch, the net gains of Zaporizhzhia only surpassed Bakhmut just like a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago. So again, I actually think it bodes well to push harder in this Bakhmut region for Ukraine. Anyway, guys, if you're interested in seeing my analysis of the fighting, you know I can't show any of those videos here on my YouTube channel. They demonetize you at the drop of a hat. But that's why I launched combatvetnews.com. In addition to all the updates on the Ukraine news that I can't get to here for free, all of my YouTube videos, you could become a member and support the channel. This is where I do twice weekly deep dive analysis of combat footage, totally uncensored, but it's in the members only area. So if you want to support what I do, keep me independent, and get access to the analysis of those on the ground combat videos that give us insight we can't get anywhere else, become a member. Any one of these tiers gets you access to the members only content, but there's additional perks if you become a lieutenant or colonel, including the exclusive shout outs at the end of the videos. And even the colonel tiers, honestly, that's just an alpha Chad move, right? But so if you're interested, go to combatvetnews.com. Link is in the description or right up there on the screen. Okay, moving on. What I thought was interesting is this tweet from Marcus N. Noop. This is about the Robtina region. And as you can see, this actually is using NATO standard, what's the word I want? Symbology, right? To illustrate whose forces are deployed where. And remember, even though each one of these squares does not represent an equal number of units, 3 hashes represent a battalion, 2 hashes. No, I'm sorry. 2 hashes represent a battalion, 3 represent a brigade. So as you can see, there's a lot of brigades operating in and around this region, as well as a lot of battalions, and that Russia is basically trying to build a fence line. This reflects pretty much what we've talked about, which is Russia throwing tons of troops into this situation. And as you can see, there's a lot of these, it looks like drone companies and, some of these like Ukrainian forces in their way. They're, again, probably not outnumbered, given the fact that a Russian regiment simply isn't going to, they don't have the manpower of a Ukrainian regiment, especially at this point. But you can see how Russia has basically just tried to build a big, giant wall around this region. And this is sort of how this offensive has gone. As Ukrainian forces pour into a region, they achieve a level of breakthrough, but without the ability to rapidly clear and bypass minefields and obstacles, it buys Russia enough time to shore up its defenses and build these kind of situations by just stacking unit after unit after unit. And while they take a lot of casualties, they are able to blunt Ukrainian offensive work. So I think this is illustrative, an even better illustration of just the difficulty that Ukrainian forces have fighting against this scale of Russian mining and obstacle emplacement. The other note, though, is that Ukrainian forces have actually attacked the Russian Black Sea Fleet repair port in Russian Crimea, or Russian occupied Crimea, excuse me. So 2 ships and 24 people injured, including reportedly, I think a Kilo class submarine, right? So some very expensive, very, very, very elite Russian naval forces have been at least damaged, right? And a fire at the facility has likely damaged the port as well. This is in Sevastopol. And let's see if we can get an exact specification of what was taken out. It doesn't look like it's here. Let's see if we can pull it up if I can get some additional data here. There we go. Let's see. So this report, actually, I don't think they specify what exactly was taken out, but one of the rumors is that at least one included again, a Kilo class, a very, very high level Russian attack sub. Right now, the Russians claim to have shot down several other Ukrainian missiles, and a patrol ship destroyed 3 guided uncrewed boats that were attempting to destroy additional ships. But still, this is how this is the advantage of these kind of attacks, right? Especially when their missiles and drones, is that you don't need 10 missiles to succeed in your attack. You need 1 to get through. And it sounds like, again, 2 missiles, 2 destroyed ships, and a very large fire, probably stopping operations at the shipyard for some time, is really going to hit the Russian war machine's ability to do what's called force generation, or its ability to continually bring combat power to bear in the battlefield. So Ukraine definitely pulling out all the stops. Anyway, guys, that's all I had for you. Thank you so much to our Colonel tier members of combatvetnews.com. I couldn't do this without you. Thank you to our Lieutenant tier members. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I appreciate everybody at combatvetnews.com. And I'll see you over there later today for today's combat footage. See you in the next one. Cheers.